never imagined wearing anything else.
Too blessed to be stressed, or so Dak says. Whether he remains in Dallas is the big question right now. No long-term deal has been made, but it does seem like the quarterback wants to stay put. On Friday, tight end Blake Jarwin posting a photo on Instagram, tagging Prescott, captioning it with the quote, "Want to run it back in a few months?" To which Prescott then responded by sharing the photo to his story with the message saying, quote, "That's the only way I see it." Stephen A., what does this exchange tell you about Dak and the Cowboys?
Tells me he's not going anywhere. It tells me he doesn't want to go anywhere. And, you know, if you don't want to go anywhere, if you're not going to be dogged in your approach to get what you believe that you deserve, and your only recourse is to wait before ultimately Jerry is compelled to sign you to the kind of deal that you want that involves 4 years instead of 5 years, and that's about as far as you're willing to go, then you know what? Why should somebody else go out and pursue you? Dak Prescott's a hell of a player. He's got a 42-27 record as a starter. Up until his injury last year, he had never missed a game. His previous 4 years, he had never missed a game. It was back page news when he had to miss a practice. Incredibly reliable, trustworthy, model citizen, leader both on and off the field. The players love him. They love playing with him, love playing for him. He's inspirational. He's motivational. And we saw how the Dallas Cowboys crumbled like a cheap tent the second that he was gone. And taking all of those things into consideration, and Jerry Jones still being a bit reluctant to give you the contract you believe you deserve, particularly when he's paid everybody else. And still in all, you do everything you can to show your love, your affection, and your affinity for the Dallas Cowboys. It tells me you're not going anywhere. So Jerry can afford to wait it out because he knows that you're not going to be a problem. You're not going to be Deshaun Watson or various others, even though I'm not knocking Deshaun Watson by any stretch of the imagination because I understand exactly where he's coming from. But when you're a person that gets along as well as Dak Prescott appears to get along with the organization, despite their treatment of him from time to time, and you're still not dogged about moving on, that tells me you're not going anywhere, so we shouldn't expect anything else.
Once upon a time in American team sports, Stephen A., you wanted to play center field for the Yankees or be the center for the Lakers, right?
Or quarterback for the Cowboys.
Or quarterback for the Cowboys. And you know what's happened, since decades have passed? The position changed on the Yankees. Now you want to be the shortstop for the Yankees. Same thing with Lakers. You want to be a backcourt player for the Lakers. But you know what stayed the same? Quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. You know what the other difference is? The Yankees and Lakers have won tons of championships in the intervening years, and the Cowboys haven't. And still, it's quarterback for the Cowboys is the glamour spot. When Dak Prescott says, that's the only way I see it, I don't think that's where I think the accent is. The emphasis is on the I. Not that's the only way I see it. That's the only way I see it. How do they see it is the question. They left him off the hype video. They left him off the hype video. Stephen A., it is perplexing to me that they still haven't come to an agreement with Dak when Jerry Jones seems, hey, average annual value, I'll give it to you. I just want to give you an extra year. And Dak's agent, I suppose, is saying, no. We don't want that extra year because we think we'll do better off if we can come to free agency sooner because the CBA will change or the salary cap will change and we'll be able to make more money. Over that little detail at the end of the contract, 5 years from now, Jerry is towing the line. He's holding the line right there. I think when Dak tweets this out, the emphasis on the I as in, look, we're at an impasse. By the way, in a division, the worst division ever, right? The NFC East. And you say, well, Washington's defense, who's going to be their quarterback? The Giants haven't gotten better, really, not to where they're going to challenge anything. And the Eagles are in disarray. So under those circumstances where this division's ripe for the picking, you're going to start to bog down in the details of a fourth or fifth season if you're the Cowboys? I think that's what Dak is talking about. You leave me off the hype video? You're saying I may not be in your future? Hey, everybody, I just want to make it very clear. I want to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Do they want it?
Well, the sad part about that is that's what Jerry gets to lean on, and that's what Stephen Jones gets to lean on. And, you know, all joking aside, Max, with me trolling Cowboy fans because I can't stand them. We all know that. But I actually like Jerry Jones a great deal. I really do. I like him a lot. I've had the pleasure of talking to him on several occasions, and I'm really, really very fond of him. It's just that with this particular situation, it's almost one of those things where you walk into a negotiating room and you give away all your leverage because they know how much you love being a part of the organization. If Jerry Jones was the owner of the Houston Texans, he wouldn't be able to get away with this. If he was owning the New York Jets, he wouldn't be able to get away with this. If he was owning a multitude of franchises, any franchise in the National Football League, he wouldn't be able to get away with this. And I guess this almost validates the fact that they are America's team, because the star in the helmet, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, the $1 billion playpen, you know, the history of the Dallas Cowboys in terms of their tradition, the playmaker, prime time, Emmitt Smith, even Roger Staubach. And by the way, major props to the Hall of Fame, to the voters finally getting Drew Pearson into the Hall of Fame. It was a beautiful and touching thing. It was long overdue. He should have been in the Hall of Fame, the original number 88 with the Dallas Cowboys. And to give him that announcement with Roger Staubach and Jerry Jones right there in attendance was a beautiful, beautiful thing. He deserves it, and I'm happy for him. So we know the history of the Dallas Cowboys and what they represent. I just think in this particular instance, Jerry Jones is leaning on it in a very negative way because you're using it to compel Dak Prescott to stay in Big D on your terms. And I think it's a damn shame that he's doing that. This is not the person he should be doing that to. This is the guy that he should be embracing in every way imaginable because Dak Prescott has epitomized everything you should want your quarterback to be. It really is. It's a damn shame that Jerry Jones is picking him to play that hard line in it. Just like it's just 1 year, Dak Prescott wants 5 instead of 4. We understand, or I'm sorry, 4 instead of 5. I understand if you're Jerry, you want the 5th year or whatever, but damn, that Jerry's in his late 70s now. This is 4 or 5 years down the road. If the man wants 4 years instead of 5, why are you sweating it, man?
Well, I think maybe you answered it. I think the idea for Jerry Jones may be this is keeping us talking about them, right? If Jerry's gotten his mind, yeah, in the end, I'll give him what he wants. But I can string this along and keep the Dallas Cowboys on the front page, so to speak. You know, they're talking about it on First Take. It's all over the media. Well, look, here's an alternative for Jerry, in my opinion, Stephen A. Remember when Jimmy Johnson was on the show? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's very clear what's going on with the Cowboys. It's the curse of Jimmy Johnson. Mm-hmm. Not in the Ring of Honor. Are you kidding? Jerry, put Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Honor. Get out of your own way, and the curse of Jimmy Johnson will be lifted. Give Dak Prescott the contract and work on the defense. But this ain't that hard.
You got a smirk. You got a smirk on your face, and you're laughing, and I don't blame you for it because I understand where it's coming from. But it takes a far more serious tone with me from the standpoint that Jimmy Johnson clearly delivered for you. And the only reason you would keep him out is for your personal feelings. The fact that I have a problem with the fact that the owner has that definitive of a say as to who gets into the Ring of Honor. The Ring of Honor should be determined by the fans who watched and supported your team all of these decades, even before you ever arrived, Jerry Jones, that helped uplift or live up to an uplifted name brand. And then in the case of Dak Prescott, let's also remember, Max, that I had a problem with the fact that, again, you're waiting until a guy gets hurt. Remember, when Dak Prescott first came on board, you were reluctant to put him at the helm when Tony Romo was there. Even though Tony Romo had injuries, he clearly wasn't 100%, and Dak Prescott was flat out balling and was clearly the future, just coming in as a rookie. You have held out on this guy at every turn. And it's 5 years later, and Jerry's is still doing the same thing he did to Dak Prescott as a rookie. I don't find that funny.
But, well, this is why it's funny to me. Because Jerry Jones seems to have gotten used to the idea, and that's why I wouldn't put it past him just to string this along to keep the Cowboys in the headlines. Maybe the same thing with Jimmy Johnson, Ring of Honor. You know, Jerry Jones, it's difficult to win a Super Bowl. It's difficult to be in the headlines for winning all the time. Jerry Jones has been unable to do that in a quarter century. And he did it originally because he ushered in the era of the hard cap and then manipulated it with a roster bonus, right, immediately to grab Deion Sanders. But once that little parlor trick was discovered and everyone figured out how to do that, he didn't have that advantage. And they haven't won anything in 25 years. So my point is, it's easier to do what Jerry Jones is doing, to stroke your ego by keeping your team in the news and making your money the same way without winning. What's harder to do, or at least less ego gratifying, but in the long run is better, is if you cut the shenanigans and just get to the business of running a football program, because the Dallas Cowboys would have a shot then.
All right, yeah. Well, before Dak Prescott was looking for 4 years rather than 5, but now things look like they may have changed. Ed Warder said this morning on KJZ that now Dak Prescott wants a 3-year deal, $40 million a year. So we'll see if that comes to fruition, guys. Also, the franchise tag period starts next week. All right, we're going to leave it there because it is time to yell it from the roof.